This is Jet with Pop Austin Media, and I got comedian, media personality. He's a bunch of slashes. Avery Hutto in the building. How's life, my guy?
It's fucking fantastic. Just got to Austin, loving it so far. Happy to be here, man.
You came from Chicago, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's where you're originally from?
So born in Chicago, raised in Michigan, suburbs of Detroit. Moved back to Chicago for a little bit. Been there for a couple of years, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go to Austin. Let's try something new.
So real quick, start from how was childhood going back and forth?
Oh, yeah. So, fuck yeah. Let's just get right into it. So I dropped out of high school. A lot of people don't expect that.
Oh, damn. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, exactly. People see like a tall, like baby-faced white guy, and they're like, oh, this guy's like a clean-cut guy.
He at least graduated high school. That's funny.
Yeah, exactly. But dropped out of high school, had like a whole mess of shit going on when I was a kid. You know, fucked up parents. My mom is a narcissist. And not like, some people are like, oh my gosh, you're such a narcissist. But my mom is like doctors are like, oh no, she's a narcissist.
Damn. So they like diagnose her.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Instead of just saying, oh, I'm a narcissist.
Yeah, no. They were like, no, on paper, medical records,
Wow.
insurance, this woman is a narcissist. She's a strong, wonderful woman, but she's a little bit fucked up. So I'm a little bit fucked up because of that.
And so you said childhood was pretty rough with all that?
Well, so a bunch of siblings. My parents had me when my mom was 22. My dad was 20. So they had my sister right away. And then my dad kind of dipped for a minute. He disappeared for a couple of months and was like, I don't want to be a dad. My mom was like, okay, I'll be a single mother. Her parents are good. He comes back into the picture and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to be a good dad. Like, I'm going to raise my kids, whatever. And then I was the kid who was kind of like, oh, we're going to stay together. I was like the confirmation of the relationship. And then they just kept, my mom's Catholic and both my parents are Catholic. So then they just kept popping out kids. So I got 2 brothers, 2 sisters.
My mom's Catholic too.
Yep.
So yeah, so
yeah, that's what they do.
It's a white thing.
Yeah, you repress it. You repress the sexuality as much as you can. And then once you get to be able to get married, you're like, fucking all day. Let's go. Let's go.
At least with it, my mom ain't do that. She had me at 18.
Yeah, see.
So did you play any sports, or was it just pretty hectic? You really didn't get into sports because you're a tall dude.
Yeah, I played hockey and tennis. Like, I never played basketball. I can't jump. Like, you could probably jump and get higher than me. I can't get it off the ground. I'm like a fat-legged man. So I'm just like hobbling around.
So you can't jump over a piece of paper?
I fucking can't. It's embarrassing. Like, I'm 6'5" and I can dunk,
yeah, I could tell,
but
God,
barely.
It's like you're ring grazing.
Yeah, exactly. And then I see people who are like 5'10" just jumping up and dunking. I'm like, this is embarrassing. But no lift, no takeoff whatsoever.
You must have been a shooter then if you played basketball.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what you got to do.
Box out, all defense. I can play defense fine.
Oh yeah, get boards all day long.
Exactly. I'll fucking throw my hips around.
So what? I was gonna say, what crowd did you hang out with in high school? What age did you drop out? Or what grade did you drop out? Let's say that.
My junior year, right, like 1 or 2 months in. But I was with like the stoners, the bad kids. I grew up in an area, so we're 30 minutes north of Detroit. Like middle class suburbs. So it's a bunch of kids who like grew up in the middle class, have a little bit of money. It's like all their parents are fucked up, not paying attention to them. So what do? They take their money, go down to Detroit, buy drugs. So it's like a big, rich, like front facing, like you're like, oh, it's the perfect lifestyle. Everybody's happy. They have these good families. And then once you take a deeper dive into it, you'd be like, oh, the dad's an alcoholic. The kid's going to do heroin. Like all of this shit is happening.
That's crazy. I mean, I know Detroit is wild. I
Yeah.
hear it's really wild, especially with a lot of the, drugs and with the violence that's out there.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And then especially you're like Chicago then that.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's like 2 of those that are
Yep.
just like, God, dog. So so you finished all that. What made you want to move to Austin and finally make the jump?
A girl broke up with me. I was in a relationship with a girl in Chicago. We were like dating, living together, and I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's like, it's not working for me. Like, I think we should break up. And I was like devastated. But then I'm like, you know what? I'd taken a little bit of time away from comedy because I was like, I'm gonna be a regular person. I'm gonna get together with this girl. We're gonna have a family. I'm gonna settle down.
Man.
And I was repressing parts of myself, and then it just wasn't perfect for her. So she's like, you know what? I think we got to take some time away, break up. And then I'm like, okay, if we're breaking up, I'm not staying in Chicago. Like, I'm going to Austin. It seems awesome right now. Let's fucking go.
Damn. That's crazy, and that just shows you what a woman can do.
Exactly, man.
Women can mess you up.
She'll break your
man.
heart, and then I'm like, I gotta go. I can't be around
You
these
can't
memories.
be you like you wanted to. Like you
Yeah.
said, be the comedian, do the stuff that you need to do. Now you get to let loose.
Oh, I
again.
can do anything I fucking want to. Too much, though. Now I'm just like, I'll do anything. I'll just send it.
What got you into comedy?
I went to college. So I dropped out of high school, but then I got scholarships to go to college because I'm a good test taker. So I like...
See, that just shows how flawed the system is.
Oh, it's so fucked. So I like did well on my test scores, got into a good school, went to college for psychology, and was like, I'm gonna be a psychologist. Like, I'm gonna fucking help people, save the world. Like that kind of like teenager, young adult like motivation where you're like, I'm gonna change things. This is not right. I'm gonna be righteous. And then after a few years, I'm like, I think this is bullshit. Like I was like, I think instead of solving my own problems, I'm trying to solve everybody else's problems. Like I see a lot of psychologists and therapists like that, where they're just projecting, like they're just bad therapists and bad psychologists.
They got their own problems.
Exactly.
Nobody...
So I'm like, I'm too fucked up to be like somebody's therapist. I got to work on myself. So I was like, okay, not psychology. I'd always like writing and entertainment, always a big stand-up fan. So then one day I was like, I'm just going to try an open mic. Loved it. The first one went okay. I had some friends there. It was like embarrassing. But
Did you ever get booed off? Not on that one, but is there any? Have you ever bombed? I know everybody's gonna bomb.
Oh yeah, I have had some. Because when I bomb, I have a tendency to just bomb bigger, to just double down and be like, "Fuck you." Just be like, "Okay, if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down with the ship." Because I'm like, "Oh, you don't like me?" Then I'll just tell my jokes that are a little bit edgier, just because I'm like, "You already don't like me. Why don't we have some fun and like mess around here?" But then afterwards, it's like 99% of people are like, that was fucking weird and fucked up. And then there's one dude who's like, that was fucking awesome.
It's
like,
going to be that
yeah,
guy.
dude.
That's what I'm saying. Going to be the guy to be like, woo, I keep saying that.
Exactly. And then the comics in the back of the room always love it. When other comics bomb, it's always fun to watch people just eat shit on stage.
And to see how they can handle it, too.
Exactly.
I've seen one dude, he said a joke, nobody laughed. And he was like, well, that joke didn't work. And he checked it off. And it was like, well, that's a good way to kind of.
Yeah. And then the crowd is like, at least he acknowledges it. It's worse when the person performing doesn't acknowledge it, and they're just like, and you're like, this is uncomfortable and awkward for everybody. Kind of break the tension here. Be like, I'm bombing right now.
Yeah, be self-aware. It
Yeah.
just makes it a lot easier instead of just trying to hide it. Like, yeah, this dude is clearly bombing.
Mm-hmm.
So I see you also do. Well, actually, back to the comedy. Who inspires you the most?
When I was honestly, this answer fucking is gonna makes people and comedians so mad. But I got into comedy in like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I love Dane Cook.
He had a run, man.
Yeah, man.
He did.
He's so like, people are like, he's not funny. He's just loud and stupid. But like when I was in like 8th grade, that's the kind of comedy that I wanted to listen to. It was like loud and stupid. I just play it over and over. I was like this sad 8th grade kid with these family problems, and I'm like, I like listening to Dane Cook. It makes me laugh. So he was honestly like, he has whatever his own problems are, but I fucking love him. And Mitch Hedberg's big.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I've been told I sound like Mitch Hedberg. I'm like, I don't sound like Mitch Hedberg.
I hear it a little bit.
He was funny though, man.
If you slow down like 50%, if you like went real slow, you could get that Mitch Hedberg in.
He was great, man. He really was. A different comedy style too.
Yeah.
To where he didn't care if he was awkward or bombed. He would keep doing stuff.
He's got
He's
got one of the greatest Comedy Central presents of all time.
Yes.
Where he goes in, the entire room is papered, nobody bought tickets, so everybody's there for free. The first 15 minutes, uncomfortable. They don't get him. They're acting super weird. He goes to the back of the stage, sits down on the stage, and then is just like, whatever, if this isn't gonna work, it's not gonna work. Starts telling jokes, and then they start to like love him, and you get to watch this arc of like somebody, like a great comedian bomb and then bring it right back up and then get him. And I fucking love that.
I think people just didn't get his delivery starting out.
Yeah.
And then once you got it, you're like, I got it off.
You're like, oh wait, this guy's a genius.
Yes, I loved it. I was like, oh man.
Yep.
R.I.P. to Mitch Hedberg, man. So roast battles.
Yeah.
I've seen you do those. You're doing those in Chicago, right?
Yeah, I've done a few roast battles. Those are pretty fucking fun.
How is that?
I definitely need to get better at it because I have a problem with pulling punches, man. Like even with comics, I don't want to fucking be too brutal. I'm getting better at being like meaner and more aggressive, but my demeanor usually on stage is like a little bit sillier and a little bit not so in your face. So when I get to roast battles, like I gotta fucking learn how to turn it up and just be a savage because other people are doing that, and then I'm like, I don't want to hurt you. But,
exactly. Speaking of that, people been talking about this to death. Bet you already know what I'm gonna ask. What do you feel as a comic with Will Smith smacking Chris Rock, like on the comic end?
On the comic end,
Or comedian.
yes. Well, I think that what I see in it is that Jada Pinkett Smith sucks. I think
that's the census right now.
Honestly, so here's the deal. That actually played a big role in kind of the breakup of my own relationship.
Wow.
Yeah, because I saw I was watching that. I saw Will Smith act like a total bitch. He acted like a total you could tell it was he was insecure because he's having these problems with his wife. She clearly loves him but doesn't love him that much. She's like, I like you, but
we got kids, so exactly.
And then
I'm gonna smash August Alsina.
Yeah, but he's like, I'll do anything for you, babe, whatever to make you happy. I'm always trying to make you happy. And then I was like, I'm that guy who was with this girl where I'm like, I'll do anything for you. I'll make any sacrifices. And then I saw him do that and just look so embarrassing. And then that whole relationship dynamic. And I'm like, I'm never going to be in a relationship like that. So I told the girl, I'm like, I'm standing up for myself. I'm not taking this shit. And then we went our separate ways.
Man,
that was inspiring.
This isn't going to work.
Yeah. I think that I hear they're getting divorced now, though. And I like that. So that's good.
I hope it's, from what they want, especially Will, if he needs to get up out of there, too.
He does, man.
That's just not even cool. That's so toxic.
Yeah.
What do you think about Joe Rogan? He does comedy.
Yeah.
He's out here now.
I'm a fan.
You like him? Okay,
Yeah,
because he said he's been,
it's
especially with the N-word stuff. It's kind of we know he's not, racist, but still, it's just getting way too comfortable.
Exactly. That compilation where he says it 40 times. They take every single time he's ever said it.
And then when he said the jungle, the monk, did you hear the Philadelphia? That was the worst one.
That was where you go.
Come on, man.
But he's a fucking guy from Boston who grew up in whatever, the 70s and 80s. I don't think he's a bad person.
He's not. A lot of the UFC fighters defend him.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, listen, he's fucked up. He's a comedian. He says wild shit all the time. I like him. I think you got to give people a chance. Sure, he learned. He's like, I shouldn't have done that. If he would have doubled down and it would have been like, no, I can say whatever the fuck I want. This is free speech. Then people would be like, ooh,
exactly.
People are giving you a response. At least listen to them. But he was like, you know what? I listened to them. I didn't realize it was bad at the time. I'm not going to do it again. I'm trying to get better. So I'm like, all right, good job.
Do you think nowadays it's real sensitive to be a comedian? Do you care about straddling the line to where I think Dave Chappelle does it perfectly. He doesn't give a damn.
Yeah. I definitely think about it, especially coming into a new scene like Austin, where I don't know what the lines are here and I don't know what makes people uncomfortable. In Chicago, it's pretty tight. Where if you say some things, everybody's going to talk about it in the scene and then talk amongst each other. And it's very cliquey and you got to kind of watch what you say. And then I've heard in Austin, people don't care as much and you can kind of say more and you can have more creative liberties. But I'm definitely thinking about it all the time. Because let's say I go to a show and I say some things that I think are funny, but then some other people don't think they're funny. And then they tell their friends, hey, don't have this guy in your show. And then all of a sudden you can't do X, X, and X because people are like, well, this guy's a misogynist because he said this joke. And I'm like, I'm fucking joking. But
exactly.
It's
I never got that with people. Now, there's lines that you can cross. If you say some things, you're like, whoa. And then if it's not even funny either, it's like, that's not even funny. Yeah. So that's boo.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it's funny and you're not ill-intended, I think the comedians still need to have that.
Yes. But I've got friends who said fucked up shit to me before, in just privacy, but with friends, sometimes you're late night hanging out and your friend says some shit and you're like, dude, don't fucking say that ever again.
Exactly. And you laugh, but you're like, don't say it.
Yeah, but you're not you're not my friend anymore. You're like, hey, just don't ever say that.
Yeah.
And then you move on. I think we're getting there to where people are like, okay, I can give you feedback and be like, hey, maybe don't say that. But I'm not going to hate you for it. I'm going to understand. I think that's a good line. Instead of being you're ostracized if you say something bad, it's hey, don't fucking say that. If you do it again, we could talk again, but it's not the end of the world.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you ever listened to George Carlin in the day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Richard Pryor, Eddie
Same
Murphy,
thing.
all them.
If you put out anything, Eddie Murphy's that Raw special, if you put it out today, it's game over, man.
But I love it. It's great. That and hilarious.
It should exist. It has a place.
Interesting. I see. So you do Twitch, right?
Yeah.
And then you stream on Twitch, and then I see you also edit your videos as well, right? You
do
video editing. So talk about video editing.
So I had a dude I worked with, People of Comedy out in Chicago. They're awesome. What up, James? I did my podcast with him for a while. He helped me out. I do the Twitch thing a little bit. My brother actually does the Twitch thing way more. He's like a gamer.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like,
I've just seen that you put the Twitch stuff
Yeah.
out on your IG.
So whenever I go on kind of like this, where I just talk to people and I talk about the news and stuff, and kind of trying to do it more and more. But I love the platform. I think it's so cool that you can just pop on and there's people from all around the world talking. Like you can just pop in and it's somebody in the room in Spain and they're just like talking to the computer and they got like 50 people watching. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. This whole platform, this idea is just fantastic.
Do you think you can work out, even though you probably can't get the gauge on laughing, do you think you can work out some material on Twitch as
For
well?
sure.
But
Like
it's going to be chat though, like ha ha in the
Yeah.
chat. So it's going to be like, okay, so you can, or they'll be like lame. Or do you ever do any of that?
Yeah, because it's the same thing as like a podcast though, where like you say an idea and you're like, oh, that might work on stage, or you get some feedback from somebody, you're riffing a little bit, and then like you get little gems. You're like, oh, that's actually a good joke. But definitely like, especially with topical information, like when I go on, I'll research whatever's been going on the past couple of days, and then I'll talk about it, and then that's a great way to like get jokes.
Another one that I liked for a while, but then his thing is Chris D'Elia.
Yeah.
He actually lived out here for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He did, and he actually worked at Macaroni. Was it the Macaroni? I forgot where it was, but he worked at a place too, and he was doing all that stuff. But he was like, and just went boom.
He's one of those ones where I can't watch him anymore.
I can't. I used to watch his show.
Yeah, I can't do it.
That's what made me think about
Yep,
that.
I'm like, dude, that's the line where I'm like, because if I had a daughter or a younger sister and he did that shit that he was doing to like girls, where he's like, it's not against the law, and it's like, it's not about if it's against the law or not. It's about you being a creepy fucking dude.
Exactly.
And like, if
And then on that You show, did you ever watch?
where he plays a fucking child predator, dude.
Oh my
That's how he
God.
got his. And Workaholics, he plays a pedophile as well. He looks like a fucking pedophile,
And
then
he
it turns
is.
out he's a pedophile.
That's just so insane.
But
bro.
it's like, no, it's like, he's like, I wait until the day they turn 18. And it's like, that's still fucked up too, where he'll like text a 16-year-old. She'll be like, I'm too young. And he'll be like, okay. And then 2 years later, he'll be like, what about now?
Here we are, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, dude, that's still weird. He had like,
it looks grooming.
yeah. Cause he had a daddy fetish too, where he would like girls to sit on his lap and like pretend they're his dad. So there's some fucked up shit going
He
on
has
there.
a wife and kid. Like, it just had a child too. So I thought that's gotta be weird.
I still follow him on social media, and it's just weird seeing him like running around with his kid. He puts his kid on all the time. He's got his wife who knows that he's cheated on her like 1,000 times. But I don't know.
It's just-
But again, at the same time, like his content isn't for me anymore because I can't not think about that. But I still think that he should have an audience and a show. And like I'm sure if I met the dude now, I could like talk to him and have like some basic understanding. Like I don't hate him. I understand that what he did was fucked up. He has like weird it's like a mental health issue to want to do that.
For real.
So I'm like, I'm not fucking throwing you out entirely. It's just not for me anymore. But you should have an opportunity to be like, to work, have a career, make yourself better, try to pick up the pieces.
Exactly. I see you post Garyvee here and there.
Oh yeah, I fucking love Garyvee.
What does Garyvee mean to you, and what is? Yeah.
Garyvee is absolute resilience. He's a comic in a way. Like
I
as
think
much
he
as
is.
he's a finance guy, he's a fucking comic where he knows, like he's self-aware. He makes jokes. He knows what he's doing is a little bit crazy, but he's like, fuck it, I'm fucking crazy. I make billions of dollars being a crazy person. You should be a crazy person too. And I posted
The crazy Yankee, I think.
Yeah, he's got that clip on Instagram where he's like, imagine that everyone in your family's dead. And then he's like, what are you gonna fucking do about it? And I just like that crazy mentality from like the outside looking in. You're like, what are you talking about, dude?
What's
then
he
he's like,
talking about?
But then he's like, yeah, but if you had nothing to lose, well, it kind of makes sense. But I think he's just like a fun guy, and I think he's doing good for the world. And if anybody's like, once he puts fucking NFTs out, if I'm gonna ever buy a fucking NFT, it's gonna be Garyvee's
Those
shit.
NFTs is all weird, man.
I don't get it.
Nobody even gets it still. It's just it's anything. It's like, this is an NFT. This is an NFT.
Yeah, I see that some people have explained it to me in ways where I'm like, okay, I get it and it makes sense, but I'll just be a late adopter.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody will tell me
I'll
later.
let that go through and do
Yeah.
its thing. Garyvee, what really made Garyvee pop was when he was in South by Southwest out here.
Okay.
And there was a guy, and he was just reaming into him. He's like, look at you. What are you doing? As a dude, you know, I guess it kind of was just, it was like a short clip, but him really going off on him. And that's kind of what made him search. So it's just funny that it was in Austin. Dope. Talk about the Avery Hutto show.
Yeah, so started out that podcast, People of Comedy, out in Chicago. Fucking had comics on. had just different entertainers, people in the area, shot the shit. I tried out like a bunch of, I still don't know. I'm going to restart it again soon. We're still figuring that out. But at first I was like, you know what, it's going to be an interview show like this. And then I was like, oh, maybe I do it like the Tim Dillon show or like Bill Burr's where I'm just ranting. Mm-hmm. And then I tried it out where I kind of had like 4 guests and made it a party. And where I'm like, okay, this is just like a hangout. And I think that's what I'm going to do for the future is like have a bunch of guests and have it more like a party and a hangout rather than like a typical podcast interview. Mm-hmm. Just it's fun, but I think for me personally, where I fit best is like, oh, let's get a bunch of fucking people in a room and let's just riff and have fun.
Isn't it crazy how the podcast just took over? At first, it was the same with the NFTs. I remember it used to be on Apple Podcasts. Everybody's looking at back in the day. I'm talking back on podcast.
Yep.
And then now, lo and behold, that's taken over, and that's bigger than the radio and anything else.
I get it though. I listen to podcasts all the time. I like it calms me down a little bit to have somebody in my ear just talking to me all the time. So I have like my podcast, and I'll just put it on the background, and I'm like, this isn't that interesting in a way. Like it's not. They're not really talking about that much stuff. But it makes you think a little bit. It's entertaining. It's calming. It's perfect for the background. And then some of them, like every once in a while, you have an absolute gem where you're like, this hour is better than a movie or a stand-up special or anything weird. Like that. Like most of them aren't, but every once in a while you get that absolute golden one.
If they get the right guest on there, or if they just really delve into the stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Very, very interesting. Shoot, what do you got? So you got that. What else do you got upcoming?
Just
because I know like you're out here in Austin, you know, you're looking at some of the comedy clubs or whatnot.
Definitely. I'm restarting in a way. So it's like you start out in Chicago. I've been doing it for years, but now I'm coming to Austin and I'm like, all right, fresh start. Let's just start hitting mics. I've been hitting mics, going to them, meeting a bunch of people from Chicago who've moved down here, a bunch of other comics.
You'll find a lot of people that move down here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just going to mics, just working it out, just trying to get better, like getting back into that like on-stage shape. So that's been fun.
How do you like the weather so far out here?
Fucking love it. It sucks in Chicago, man. Like Chicago is right now in Chicago, it's like 40 and rainy. It's been
and windy.
Oh, it's miserable out here every single day. Like right when I got here, people were like, "Oh, the weather sucks," and it was like 70 and overcast. And I'm like, "This is fantastic for me. This is great." And there's so many patios, and every single bar is also a coffee shop, and they also have a patio outside. So it's been great to just walk around and chill and explore the city.
Dope. Yep, got it. We definitely got, and I just learned this some years ago, covering events, but definitely we have a good amount of those places for the comedy shows.
Oh yeah,
for
it's
comedy
everywhere.
The community.
I was just walking around 6th Street last night, and I didn't realize how many bars there were. It's like there's like 30 in a row on both sides of the street, and I was like, how does the city support this?
People normally like bar hop. That's like the thing. So people go here and it's just a bar hop central. You're just going down the line.
Yeah, it's wild. It was so much fun to just walk around and like that's what I was doing. I was like, oh, I'll go in here for a little bit. I'll go to this food truck. I'll go pop around here. But I love the like scene and the energy. And I think too, like people are like Austin's overcrowded, but I'm like tons more people are gonna come. I think
exactly.
Tons, and it's gonna get way, way, way bigger soon.
Yup, definitely. Well, shoot, where can we find you at on Instagram?
Yeah, find me on Instagram at Avery B. Hutto. Check me out on Twitch and YouTube as well, Avery B. Hutto. We'll start putting out some new shit soon. Thank you.
Heck yeah. Hey, man, you're in Austin. You're in the right place to be. I'm glad you got about that toxic relationship so you ain't got to slap nobody.
Yep.
Hey, man, Avery Hutto. This is Jet with Pop Austin Media, and I'm signing out.